Hey everyone, so today I want to talk to you guys about the GDELT project. The GDELT project is advertised as an open source uh, platform that runs a deep learning algorithm on news sources from around the world and translates these news sources from 65 languages into a decipherable database. The GDELT project stands for Global Database of Events and Tones, and it uses something called a cameo language. The cameo language was originally, engineered by the National Science Foundation as a way to track human interactions and mentions of other people from across the world. And since then, GDELT, it is still open source and free, but unfortunately, it is kind of now, um, it's a shameless plug and way to try and get you to use Google BigQuery, which is a monetized database management system. And so today I want to talk to you about I how I found a way to take data from GDELT and pull it away from the Google BigQuery environment to use in other open source platforms and create more stable files that you guys could use for geographic analysis. Okay, so as you can see, when you go to download data from GDELT, you come to this weird HTML page, and it looks like they're almost running like a Docker image or something with like an image number and then like a unique instance or something like that. But really what you want to do is you want to grab any file that has export in it because the GKG is a different kind of file, as are the mentions files. But the most traditional GDELT cameo language is in this export csv.zip file. And so you'd open up a browser, you'd drop that link in, and there you go. Now you have it. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take this into Google Sheets because you'll see that Excel and Notepad++, the way that they formatted this data, it's not parsable or interpretable by anything else but Google Sheets. Okay, everyone, and so right now we're in Google Sheets. Uh, Once you take your GDELT data and download it to a CSV, you'd think, okay, it's fine to play with it inside of Excel or Notepad++ or something like that. But the way that GDELT spits out its data into a CSV, it's only interpretable using Google Sheets, which is kind of a way that they try and rope you into staying within that Google environment. So don't worry, we're going to get out of Google soon and kind of have this data be free, but for right now I figured that this is okay just because Google Sheets is a free software. So what's important to do is when you go to File, you don't want to do Open. It's important to say Import. And so you're going to import your files that you've just downloaded from GDELT. And so I'm just going to take this one just as a quick example, but you could download as many as you'd want and kind of learn to stack them on top of one another. And so once this gets in here, right, so the import location, I'm going to say replace spreadsheet, separator type, detected automatically, and then convert text numbers and dates and formulas. I'm just going to say yes. And then, so once you import your data, it's still going to look a little bit messy, right? So like you see all these strange indentations that kind of get spit out, and they're all in just like, columns that don't make much sense. And so once this finally loads, we're going to be able to actually go ahead and and turn this data into a column. So I think that it's loaded. And so here's the trick. You want to start in column A. You go to data, and you go to split text to columns. And Google Sheets does a very good job of taking GDELT data and turning them into neat little columns. And so I went through the code book, and we're going to take care of this with a Python script. But I just wanted to show you that right here now, the Cameo language has been parsed up into separate columns. And so right here, for instance, this is the unique event ID. And so what I'm going to show you is you could actually take multiple columns, export them out of Google Sheets, and append them together to turn them into a workable CSV that you could put into your favorite GI system. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to download and download them as CSVs. And so now once you put this into a CSV, it should be a nicely formatted file, but there's not necessarily a header, which is going to be important. But like I said, we're going to take care of that with a Python script in just a minute. Okay, so right now, I went ahead and downloaded a few more CSVs from the website, from the GDELT website, but I'm going to let you guys explore which CSVs you'd like to use, because you could actually query them by specific days and specific times and things like that. But I just went ahead and pulled these ones. And so before we get them going into our Python script, what I did was I labeled them just something easy with an underscore and like a numeric value after it. And so this is going to help in the Python script when we go to like connote that there's something dynamic here, and it's going to allow us to, and it's going to allow the script to run through each one and append all of them together. Okay, so I wrote a Python script, and this is going to be actually included, I guess, like in a public GitHub or a public Dropbox, along with other materials, so you guys could use GDELT data for your own projects without having to use Google BigQuery. And so I'm just going to walk you through it pretty quickly. I put a lot of pseudocode just so everybody could follow along with how to use this script and how to run it. So first you're going to want to import your operating system, glob, and CSV libraries, and then import pandas. From there, you're going to make a path. And so this path is just going towards those numerically sorted data CSV files that I just created right here. So this path is just going right here to these dynamically labeled CSV files with all the GDELT data in it. And so I'm going to use the glob library and pass our path through it with an asterisk at the very end, and that connotes that there's a dynamic part of the files within that folder, and it's going to kind of run through it like a for loop. Once you go through there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start importing pandas to read my CSVs in a comma delimited fashion for all files. And so, once you do that, you take it and you're going to take all those files and you're going to concatenate them. And so there's still no index or header to it, so you just put true there. And so then you just export that as a CSV that you could use as a data frame. And so right here, this is just like what I'm calling it, so I'm just calling it cooked3 CSV with no index. And so when you want to go through and use your index, what I did here, and this is kind of following that Cameo language, is each one of these column names is responding to the Cameo language that GDELT uses for all of their code. So there's going to be a data dictionary up on the GitHub site for you guys to follow along with and understand what these mean. But all you need to know is that this is essentially the Cameo language broken up into a CSV outside of the Google environment. And so really with GDELT data, you're talking about conducting social network analysis. And so to conduct social network analysis, what you've really got to do is you've got to go through and get nodes and edges. And actually, lots of the GDELT data doesn't even contain edges for you to conduct social network analysis with. So we're going to go ahead and make those within the Python script and just have them come out so you could use them in your favorite GI system. So right here, I'm going to make the actor1 nodes. So within the Cameo language, there's something called actor1, and that's essentially the important person in a text that the deep learning algorithm finds, and they're taking the active role, talking about, some kind of topic within their country, and how it might relate to some other person within their country or somewhere else around the world. And so this actor1 is kind of the person who's taking the active role in a conversation with another actor, and that's kind of going to help us create this social network analysis. So from my column names, I'm going to grab everything that's related to actor1 along with the global unique event ID and the date and times. And so we do the same thing for actor2, but we pull everything pertinent to actor2. And then to create the edges, that's something that GDELT does not create, we need to create a start longitude, end longitude, and a start latitude, end latitude field so that we can make those lines for those edges within our social network analysis. And so within a network analysis, sometimes the direction of the line matters. So I'm just giving you guys the option here to go ahead and either have it so that the line direction is facing from actor1 to actor2 within your concatenated CSV files, or if you want, you could backtrack and use the actor2 is taking the active role, and actor1 would be taking the passive role, just in case you want to do that with your analysis. And so this should all work so long as this should work pretty seamlessly for you so long as you set your you use your absolute paths here kind of to grab your numbered GDELT data and name them to an appropriate folder. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And these D-type warnings you could just ignore. It's not necessarily something that big, it's just because there's so many different kinds of string combinations within Cameo language. And so good, our process finished with exit code 0. So if I go to the folder where all my data was compiled, I'm going to go to data D, desktop, and then if I go to my GDELT cooked data, I have my actor1 nodes, my actor2 nodes, and then my edges for the social network analysis. And so with this data, I'm going to put it into my favorite GI system and kind of make a cool map for you guys.